These are practical and quick ways to get on top of your work and free up time for the important things that really matter. We are all required to do more and more with less and less, whether time or money. This is taking its toll on our productivity, our health, and unfortunately on family life. This is a great pity, because we found out that many of us are making easily avoidable mistakes that cost us a great deal of time and money. Time is all we have to achieve our dreams and to succeed. Time also is the key ingredient in enjoying our family and life. This video will help you overcome the issue of too much to do and too little time to do it in. We recommend that you think about one mistake per day. Think about the suggestions and figure out a way to apply them in your office or home. The first mistake is not setting a clear goal of what you want. Just think how often we interact with people. We have appointments and meetings. We give presentations and attend conferences. We ask people to do things for us. We write letters to them and write reports for them and make telephone calls to them. In all these interactions and more, the main reason we lose valuable time is not getting clear what we want. I know this sounds so simple that you may not see the value in this suggestion, but take this as an example. Suppose you are unhappy in your current job and you to ask the boss for a change. If you go in and just talk about how unhappy you are, you'll come across as complaining. You give a problem without a solution and the boss switches off, and you don't even get what you intended to. Suppose you lead a certain meeting and someone is waffling off the point. Do you try to bring him back on track and he says, "What I'm saying is important." You don't think it is, and a mini argument develops. If you don't have the purpose of the meeting clear, it's very difficult to make judgments about the relevance of any contribution, and your meetings take longer than they should. Setting a clear goal of what you want is a compass to keep you on track. It will help you shorten reports and letters, because you can get to the point more quickly. Similarly, when you know what you want, the time you take on telephone calls will reduce, because once you've achieved your objective, you can politely end the call. From now on, start sparing about 30 seconds before any interaction, and ask yourself a question: what do I want from this interaction, and what is the quickest way possible to get it, and spare some time. The second mistake is not doing what it takes to escape from meetings. If you're like most human beings, your biggest bugbear with time management is meetings. Often we find it difficult to break the habit. We can't see how to save time when faced with meeting after meeting. Let's take the case where you think you don't have choice. You have to attend a meeting because your boss or client expects you to be there. But do you really have to attend? Look at some of these ideas. Could you not explain in detail how you could do something else that would be a valuable help to the team instead of wasting the time in the meeting? Will the boss really refuse when they know you are going to be doing something productive instead of luxuriating with friends? If your request is refused, could you not ask to be excused halfway through, or get permission to attend halfway through? Again, you'd have a genuine reason to show how you can do more to help your boss or client or department in the time when you won't attend. If someone has to be at that meeting, is it a must that it has to be you? Could you find someone who could go in your place? It could be a colleague, and you'll help her out with something. It could be a junior colleague who would find the experience exciting and a chance for personal development. Naturally, you brief them properly and inform the chair. Of course, you want to be professional, but if your boss or client doesn't accept any of the above, take some other work with you and do it while in the meeting, even if it's just thinking about something. Be careful and pretend to participate now and again by making a comment or asking a question. The third mistake is to allow reports take control. You know what it's like. You spend weeks preparing a report and no one reads it properly. Or you've done a brilliant job with the research and the layout and someone says, "John, compiled is spelt wrongly on page 13. To take back some control over our working lives, we need to control the way we deal with reports. Think of a report you're required to write and ask the boss or the client if you can scrap it. Show the boss what you'll do in the time saved. Please do try this, because some bosses don't have time to think about the value of every report. If a report must be written, find someone who would welcome the opportunity. An experienced assistant could draft an outline. You could commission an outside person to do it. Perhaps you have a colleague you could trade with. He may enjoy and be good at writing reports. You could take on a task he doesn't like, or at which he is not as good as you are. The fourth mistake is underestimating the time spent on telephone calls. There's no doubt that most of us underestimate the time they spend on the telephone by about 1/3. You know yourself that a 5-minute call can turn into a 20-minute one. The telephone is great, it saves us attending meetings, but at the same time, if uncontrolled, it swallows our time. So although the 7 tips in this lesson are easy to follow, you must start applying them if you're not doing so already. Gently and politely keep bringing the person you're speaking to back to what you want, or to what he or she wants from you. Naturally, you won't be rude about this. Prepare the necessary data or notes at hand before starting the call. Not only does this save time, it gives others the signal that you're organized. If you're telephoning to make an appointment with someone, have your diary ready and mark up the dates you want. Even if it's a longer call, set a time limit for it. Tell people what this limit is right at the start of the conversation. After the usual brief social introduction, say something like, you can say something like, "Hey John, the first need only 3 minutes of your time," or you can phrase it like, "Hey Jane, have you got like 2 minutes?" End the call politely once you have achieved what you set out to achieve. Say something like, "Thanks Patrick, I won't keep you any longer. Thanks for your time Carlos, it was good talking to you, have to rush, see you next week at," and then you add on some place like home, cafe, or whatever. I know this sounds robot-like and rude, but with just a little practice it becomes a natural and professional way of doing business. Get people's personal numbers and avoid the delay of having to go through reception. Also, ask for people's mobile telephone numbers. If you can't get them on a landline, you can usually reach them on their mobile telephones. Most senior people and most decision makers get into the office early and leave late, so you can telephone before usual office time, or even after the usual time for office. Be very pleasant to receptionists and personal assistants. Of course you would do this anyway, because it's the right thing to do. However, be extra nice. Introduce yourself and take 5 seconds for small talk, explain your problem and say please, thank you. A simple please can save you days when you gain access to a decision maker. Every week ask a colleague to take your calls for an hour so you can get something else done. You can reciprocate some other day or do some other task for that colleague that he or she hates doing. The fifth mistake is underusing or overusing technology. How would we survive without our technology? Imagine how slow everything would be and how much donkey work we'd still be doing. Just think of the time we'd waste if we had to write complex reports without the word processor. However, as you know, this wonderful technology can quickly enslave us if we don't watch out. It speeds things up, and if we allow it, it can rule our lives. So here are some thoughts on using technology to free up our time we can use to improve the quality of our lives. Use an answer machine to filter telephone calls and take messages. It is now good business practice to do this. However, get back to people as quickly as possible. Get the latest model that allows you to retrieve messages and change your message remotely from any telephone. Keep your mobile telephone switched off most of the time and don't give out your number to everyone. Having your mobile switched on means that anyone with your number can contact you anytime, anywhere. This creates an open invitation and people will contact you, even with trivial matters. If you're worried that people can't cope without you, this signals a need to develop your people more. Don't waste time reading instruction manuals for everyday domestic and office technological items. They are almost always badly written and too complicated. Get help, now. Find someone like a friend, a child, a neighbor, a professional who can explain things to you, even pay them, it's worth it. The sixth mistake is failing to organize the mass of information. There is no doubt that we humans are suffering from information overload at work and in our social lives. We're suffering from overchoice and struggling to make sense of all the data pumped at us all day, every day. Educate people by explaining that they don't have to send you reports, data or newsletter anymore. Cut down on your subscriptions, even free ones, and bin newsletters and magazines unopened. Do you really need to read the newspaper every day? Thanks for watching. Let's meet in the next video.